Apple didn't start 2026 quietly. There are leaks about the iPhone 18 Pro that on paper sound like Apple finally heard every complaint people have had for 4 years. Smaller dynamic island, better chip, variable aperture camera, a new color, bigger battery, and then completely out of nowhere, Google walks in, taps Apple on the shoulder, and says, "Yeah, look, we're getting that new display first." Google Pixel 11 could debut Samsung's brand new M16 OLED display ahead of the iPhone 18 Pro. And honestly, nobody saw that coming. We'll get to why that matters in a minute. But first, the iPhone 18 Pro situation, because there's a lot to unpack. And one thing buried in these leaks that basically tells you whether the 2026 iPhone is actually worth upgrading to or whether you should just wait. So here's the frame for this video. Apple's fall 2026 iPhone launch will include the 6.3-inch iPhone 18 Pro, the 6.9-inch iPhone 18 Pro Max, and the new foldable iPhone. The iPhone Fold will get most of the attention, but there are some genuinely useful upgrades planned for the iPhone 18 Pro models. The question is, are those upgrades enough, especially when a completely different phone launching earlier is now gunning for a spec that Apple usually owns? I went through every credible leak, every supply chain report, and every analyst note that's dropped in the last few weeks. And what I found is actually more interesting than just a spec list. There's a particular detail about the display situation that changes how you should think about this whole thing. We're getting there. Let's start with what you can actually see. The iPhone 18 Pro models are expected to feature the same general design as the iPhone 17 Pro models, offering a triple lens rear camera system with a large camera plateau. So design-wise, it's not a reinvention year, that's fine. But here's the one visual change that people keep glossing over. The dynamic island cutout on the iPhone 18 Pro models will be approximately 35% narrower than it is on the iPhone 17 Pro models. The mechanism is straightforward. Move the Face ID flood illuminator under the display, leave only the infrared camera and front lens in the cutout, and suddenly that wide pill becomes a narrow sliver sitting unobtrusively at the top of the screen. Apple has spent 4 years refusing to touch the dynamic island. Samsung cycled through 3 foldable generations in that time. Google rebooted the Pixel lineup twice. And the iPhone 14 Pro's pill-shaped cutout just sat there, exactly the same width, height, and visual footprint on the 15 Pro, 16 Pro, and 17 Pro. So after 4 years of treating it like a sacred artifact, they're finally shrinking it. And the color situation, no black again. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reports that Apple is testing a deep red finish for the 18 Pro lineup, a shade closer to burgundy than the bright product red tones the company used on standard models years ago. Apple removed black from the Pro lineup with the iPhone 17 Pro, the first time in the series history that no dark option existed, and the 18 Pro appears set to continue that direction. Other colors under testing include coffee brown and deep purple, although Apple may finalize only a limited number for the final lineup. So if you wanted black, you're now 0 for 2, and apparently possibly 0 for 3. Okay, under the hood, Apple's next generation A20 Pro chip is expected to use TSMC's first generation 2nm process, whereas the A19 Pro chip is 3 nanometer. With a 2nm architecture and a new packaging design, the A20 Pro chip should deliver solid year-over-year performance and power efficiency gains. How solid? The A20 Pro chip promises roughly 15% faster performance and up to 30% better power efficiency compared to the current A19 Pro. Paired with 12 gigabytes of RAM across the lineup, the new silicon should power smoother Apple Intelligence features, enhanced on-device AI processing, and better multitasking. Here's what that means in real terms. A 30% efficiency gain isn't just a benchmark number. That's your screen staying on longer, your AI features running without throttling, your phone not getting warm when you're using the camera for 20 minutes straight. And then there's the modem situation, which is quietly one of the more interesting things happening here. Apple's custom C1 cellular modem debuted in the iPhone 16e last year, followed by a C1X chip in the iPhone Air. Apple says the C1X modem is up to twice as fast as the C1 modem and the most power-efficient modem in an iPhone ever. The improvements should continue with Apple's third-generation C2 modem in the iPhone 18 Pro models. The C2 could feature millimeter wave 5G connectivity, and Apple's C2 modem could add support for 5G satellite connectivity, which can relate to direct phone-to-satellite links, as well as the use of satellites as backhaul for carrier networks. This would allow the iPhone 18 Pro models to offer full internet access over satellite, supplementing 5G networks when standard networks are unavailable. So, internet from space on your phone in your pocket. I'm not saying that's normal. I'm saying Apple is now building phones that can connect to satellites for data. That's just a sentence we're saying casually now. Here's the camera upgrade that has photographers genuinely interested. The main 48 megapixel fusion camera on both iPhone 18 Pro models is rumored to have a variable aperture, which would allow users to control the amount of light that passes through the camera's lens and reaches the sensor, providing greater control over depth of field. However, given that iPhones have smaller image sensors due to smartphone size constraints, it is unclear exactly how meaningful this improvement would be, which is actually the honest caveat nobody's saying out loud. Variable aperture is a real feature on a DSLR or a mirrorless camera with a large sensor. Changing your aperture is transformative. On a smartphone sensor, the difference is going to be present, but it won't be the revolution the marketing will make it sound like. It'll still be the best iPhone camera ever. That part's basically guaranteed at this point. Battery life stands out as a major highlight, especially for the iPhone 18 Pro Max. Leakers report a capacity jump to somewhere between 5,100 and 5,200 milliamp hours, the largest ever in an iPhone, enabled by a slightly thicker chassis measuring around 8.8 millimeters, up from 8.75 on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. That is 0.05 millimeters thicker. You won't feel that, but you'll feel the battery. Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo does not believe that Apple will raise the price of the iPhone 18 Pro models, with the company instead absorbing the added memory costs to gain market share. If that's true, and that's a genuine if, then you're getting a meaningfully better phone at the same price. That doesn't happen very often. Okay, this is the part I mentioned at the top. Here's a thing that historically never happened. Traditionally, Apple has often been among the first to feature Samsung's latest display innovations. The iPhone 16 Pro debuted Samsung's M14 OLED panels. Apple basically had first mover rights on Samsung's best screen tech. That was just the deal, not anymore. According to ET News, Samsung Display is preparing its next generation M16 OLED panels, and the Google Pixel 11 series is expected to be the first to feature them. This would put Google ahead of the iPhone 18 Pro models and even Samsung's own Galaxy S series in the race to adopt the latest panel technology. Let that sit for a second. The Galaxy S26 series is still set to use M14 panels, meaning Samsung may not reserve M16 for its own Galaxy lineup until the Galaxy S27 generation. If true, that gives Pixel 11 a rare bragging right on paper, getting Samsung's latest flagship display tech before Samsung's flagship phone does. Google gets Samsung's best screen before Samsung does. That is a deeply weird sentence. Samsung's M16 display is said to boost brightness, colors, and lifespan of the panel while also offering greater power efficiency. Now, here's the nuance. It's hard to guess exactly how the new M16 OLED panel will improve on the M14 in regular usage, and in all likelihood, the differences will be minor for average users. The Pixel 10 series displays are already quite good, so it's not like the Pixel 11 display will blow people away versus the iPhone 17 Pro. Both M14 and M16 are excellent, but the bragging rights shift matters because it signals that Apple's premium tech pipeline isn't as airtight as it used to be because Google has shifted its launch window to August. The Pixel 11 will likely hit shelves at least a month before the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max, effectively making it the debut platform for the M16 display. And while we're on the Pixel 11, the rumor suggests that when the phones arrive this summer, they will get a new Tensor G6 processor, Face ID level biometric scanning, and a very similar design to the Pixel 10 series. The Pixel 11 is also slated to receive its biggest security upgrade in 5 years with the introduction of the Titan M3 coprocessor. So the Pixel 11 is going after hardware, real measurable hardware, and it's arriving first. That's a different kind of Google than we've seen before. Here's the context that ties everything together. September 2026 is the expected launch window for the iPhone 18 Pro, which makes this arguably the most important incremental iPhone in years. It is widely believed to be the last model in this design language before Apple delivers a radical overhaul for the 20th anniversary iPhone in 2027. So whatever ships this fall is likely your final chance to buy an iPhone that looks like an iPhone has looked since 2017. That's a real thing to sit with. If you buy the iPhone 18 Pro, you're buying the last phone in a design era. The 20th anniversary iPhone is expected to be a complete reinvention, so you're either the last of one era or the first of the next. Apple is also planning to introduce the first foldable iPhone this fall alongside the 18 Pro and 18 Pro Max. The iPhone Fold could be upwards of $2,000. This fall event is going to be one for the books. The Fold alone is going to eat half the oxygen in the room. So should you upgrade to the iPhone 18 Pro if you're on an iPhone 15 Pro or older? Yes. The combination of the A20 Pro chip, the variable aperture camera, the bigger battery, the smaller dynamic island, and the C2 modem with satellite internet capability is a meaningful compounding upgrade. It's not one big thing. It's 6 medium things that add up to something genuinely better. If you're on an iPhone 17 Pro, probably not. There won't be much in the way of design updates. The dynamic island could get smaller, battery life might get longer, and the rear camera could get a big update. That's a lot of mites for an $1,100 purchase. Now, the Pixel 11 situation. If you're an Android user or someone genuinely open to switching, August is going to be a very interesting month. If these reports hold true, the Pixel 11 might arrive as a hardware powerhouse that actually beats the iPhone and Galaxy at their own display game, all while doubling down on privacy features. Apple's had a comfortable monopoly on the premium hardware pipeline for years. First with the chip, first with the display, first with the features. That's starting to look different in 2026. And whether that's temporary or structural, we'll know a lot more by September. I'm curious about one thing, though. The fact that Apple is apparently not getting the M16 display first this year, does that bother you, or is the display already good enough that it doesn't matter? Let me know in the comments, because I genuinely don't know where people land on this one. See you next video. Peace out.